Our bottom side targets were able to hold as per expected, and there could be a huge potential for us to observe on the weekly close. Observing higher timeframes can assist in identifying the asset's overall direction, and since we got that weekly close with a bullish print, the upside may be in line. Welcome back to the channel on this Saturday. This is ARCa. Let's dive into ticker symbol FNGR. What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Let's go ahead and dive in to ticker symbol FNGR here in the 12-hour chart right here, right? So we just want to go ahead and just point out that we got the bottom side that we were expecting, right? That that target that I kept on repeating over and over, right? The 443 bottom to the 455 top with a focus of 451, right? So please go ahead and observe your OHLC right up here, right? This is your open, high, low, close. Very hard to see because they are tiny numbers, but when you hover over it, you can see the low being that 443, just like we said, right? So awesome times, and we were able to identify that upside from that target. Okay, now I guess the ultimate question would be, is if there could be an upside continuation, right? So let's go ahead and bring this all the way back here. So you know what? I'm not going to have a lot of people look for this. So let me just do this one next right now, right? So if you are curious over manipulation in the chart on Friday, on this just yesterday here, well, there in fact was, but there was actually manipulation in the after hours trading, and we got two strikes in the 3-minute time frame here, and it looks like that first strike drove the price action from 454 down to that area of 443 where we were speaking of, and then recovered to an area of about 457 upon the last strike of manipulation, right? So it's interesting that we're getting an upside here from that manipulation, but I would like to point out that oftentimes you tend to get an upside on manipulation in the short term, and then there could be a continuation to the downside, similar to this right here, right? So you get that manipulation signal, you get that downside, then you get that upside, and then it eventually comes down and solidifies, right? So I hope that's not the thing that's happening here, right? Same situation here. We got a manipulation strike, price action came slightly to the upside, then capitulated. So we still have to kind of act little, I guess we should proceed with caution, right? Seeing that there could be that probability, but just to let you know, this upside here was a little extreme considering the bottom side, right? So 443 to that top end that we faced at 457 before a rejection, it was around 13% to the upside. So we will observe what price action does in the coming sessions. So now to assist us in determining whether the upside or downside could be of higher probability or lesser probability, let's go ahead and pull up this chart here. Okay, so this is the 6-hour chart, and I want to show you. Well, you guys already know, right, that you can subscribe to the ARCa indicators, the algorithms that we just released. Those are so if you are a holder of it, then you're going to know what I'm talking about here. So if you pull up trend line, this assisted me in several things. So it's kind of convoluted, but it's for a reason, right? It's so that it can spark inspiration or spark imagination, actually better said, right? So, and it definitely did for me, right? So I want to point out the first thing that it actually brought out, right? This was actually very important for us to identify, as it is playing it's playing a crucial role here for what's happening with price, right? So this area right here, as you can see, right, we have the trend line indicator identifying the pivot points of the highs, right? And this entire line actually did help me identify this triangle, right? So if I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of highlight it here, right, and then bring up the outsides of the line just so you can see how I'm actually focusing this, right? So yeah, not perfect because it was suggesting this bottom side as a triangle bottom, but now that I see exactly what could be happening, it sparked another imagination for me, another epiphany. You know what I mean, right? So we were talking about this triangle failing right? And then coming back up and to realize it and maybe testing the bottom side before a continuation to the upside. I don't know if you remember that, but just let me know in the chat if you remember me in the comment down there, right in the comments area, if you remember me saying that. But now that we have that out of the way, I started to notice another pivot, right? So let me just go ahead and get rid of this this triangle here, right? So I just highlighted it here so that you can see what I'm observing, and I also put it here so that maybe I can get some of your thoughts in the comments too, right? So let me just go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm going to display to you this pivot point. So this pivot high and pivot high. So what this indicator does is that it has momentum built into it. So what momentum though? This is MACD. So you can actually see the MACD going into oversold, and then it goes into overbought, and then that whole thing. So it has a momentum indicator that helps assist in determining where the pivot lows are before an upside, or where the pivots are on the highs before the downside. Right? So now let me go ahead and point out another one, right? So in this case, this is going to be, I'm thinking that we adjusted per the price action that we faced all the way down to that 422 just a few days ago. And also with the last two candles that we faced over the last, over on Friday, right down to that 443 area that we determined. This helped me identify this triangle instead, right? So this triangle is what I think we're on presently. This is what I'm thinking that we are actually riding. So now that I sparked my imagination with using the ARQ trend line, I can go ahead and just block it out of the way and now start to see how price action behaved with, in conjunction to this formation itself. So I'm getting this contact point here, right? I'm going to go ahead and point them out. So I'm getting a contact point here, right? I'm getting another contact point right here. And the one to validate the formation is this one. So two touches of the support from the beginning are your way of determining whether the formation is in play or not, right? And now the resistance touches, of course, we have 1 and I guess 2 and 3, and now we're breaking out on the fourth one. It doesn't have to do the golden 3, right, that we usually speak of, right? It doesn't have to do that, but it did it this time around, and this is a true breakout of test number 4. Now, what's curious to me is how price action behaved upon reaching that 443 down here, right? So look at how perfect it is. You guys know this all the time. I'm talking about the breakout, and then once we break out of a critical resistance, being the triangle top, we usually tend to come back and validate that support before a continuation to the upside, right? So this appears to be showing just that, and it bounced right off of that bottom side and a continuation to the upside. So, and now also check this out. We bounced right from this 425 bottom here, and then created, in candle analysis, this is actually known as a bullish engulfing candle iteration or formation, right? So that would be identified by the green candle, the forward green candle's body engulfing the prior red body, right? So in paying no mind to the shadows or to the wicks, right? So that is very curious, since we touched the very bottom side, confirmed the triangle, and then we broke out using this bullish formation. Right, so this was absolutely a good play to observe, and it is on a 6-hour time frame, so it is healthy, right? So now let's determine where the top side targets are, right? So there are 3 targets that we can identify here. This is going to be the first target to acquire, right? So you take a trend line from the breakout, from the first candle that breaks out of the formation that has no exposure to the inside of the triangle. So that's called a clean break. All right, and then you apply that price objective right at that candle there, at that breakout candle. And this is suggesting the first target to be, let's go ahead and just note them, right? 549. Okay, so 549 is located right there. Let's go ahead and now take the second target that the bulls would take. So 3 targets that these falling wedges tend to realize, right? So now the center of the triangle, which could arguably be right about here, I would say actually here. Okay, and then we take that trend line from the top side to the very bottom side of the formation, and then we apply it to that same zone, right? So in this case, I'm just going to pull it to the side ever so slightly here, and this is giving us a target of 599. Very curious, because once we start breaking the $6 mark, like it was here, we start to get slammed down, right? So there is a second target given to us, and that is a 599 target. And I have talked about 599 so many times, right? You guys know, if you are following my channel, if you are following the analysis here that I put out, you know that 599 is repeated in so many different ways. Now, the last target to observe here would be from the top side of the triangle all the way to the bottom side, right? So this, and I would honestly say that the most popular take profit target for this formation would tend to be the middle of the triangle. Other than that, the obvious one is the shorter one because it's a shorter time frame, right? But yeah, that's how you tend to trade the falling wedge strategy. Now, the back of the triangle, just like we did these, right? We just go ahead and apply it back here. Let me make a slight adjustment right there. There we go. And this is suggesting now a topside target of $7.03, right? The top side of this candle here is $7.08. So it is kind of rhyming nicely. Now, the problem with, I'm sorry, not the problem. The thing here is that we have two very notable psychological targets being the breaks of major zones. So, you know, it just depends on how the asset behaves by itself, but usually breaking upside of the, you know, when you break into $6 from $5, it's a big deal. When you break from $4 into $5, it's a big deal, right? So those types of things are something to not ignore, right? So this is currently what I'm observing right now. So let's go ahead and just further our analysis here by taking a swing high to swing low inverse Fibonacci ratio, right? So, actually, you know what? We can take it to the present price action. Actually, I'm sorry. It would be this high to this low here where we just finished printing. And as you can see already at the top side target, we have the 2.618 golden mean. You know, the sentiment usually likes to take this without even knowing. Sentiment likes to take price action to 703. I'm sorry, to 703, to the 618 Fibonacci ratios, right? So that's 703 to 701 to 703 resistance, and very confluent to that golden mean. Now, look at this, 599 here, and we have the one spot 618 at 588, right? Yet again, we have another rhyming target. Very impressive, right? So this is just telling you that there is a high amount of confluence between psychological targets, being the formation targets, right, and geometric targets. So this is incredible. Okay, now the next thing to observe is, yes, the one spot 272, right? So you can see here that I respect a lot the 2 spot 272, the 3 spot 272, 172, right? All of those in conjunction with the 1 spot 618 are very critical, right? So 549 being the psychological target and 553 being the geometric, right? So again, very, very confluent to those targets, right? So I am very impressed over how price action is following geometrics and in conjunction to their psychological targets. So these are some targets that I'm observing, okay? Now, we want to see what that potential is, though. Are we moving to the upside or are we moving to the downside? Because please remember, just because this is a falling wedge, yes, it is favoring the bulls. It's a bullish formation, but it does not mean that it can't be traded to the downside. You must know that. Okay, please remember that anything can happen in the markets. This could be one huge bull trap. I mean, personally speaking, it doesn't feel that way because I mean, first of all, here the very foundational thing of this formation is that we have declining volume. Declining volume with the downside on price, that usually indicates bear weakness, right? So let's just kind of put it like that for now and continue. Okay, so now let's gain the probabilities for an upside or downside. Here's the next one. Very, very important thing here. Huge inverted hammer printed after a downside. And this is incredibly important because this is usually a signal that reverses, right? Meaning that there is a potential here that we can face a V-shaped recovery, right? So, I mean, go ahead and pay attention here to the right of your screen, and you will notice here that, you know, this is Investopedia, right? Using a bullish candlestick pattern. This is the inverted hammer, and it is said to have a reversal from that bottom side, right? So just like our price action down here, we are facing this huge hammer. There could be a reversal of price action, right? So we shall observe this, and that's actually great news. We did speak of this before we got the closure of the weekly. I think we spoke of it, I think 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Okay, so if you are, a regular viewer here, then this is no surprise to you. Okay, and now I guess what we can do here. Okay, yeah, right. One thing I don't like is that sure we did close the weekly time. You know what? Where did we close? 457, right? So 457. Okay. Oh, thank goodness. All right. So yeah, the weekly close did at 453 under the regression, right? So meaning the outside of the channel again, but we actually closed at 457, and 457 is 1 penny away. I'm sorry, 1 penny inside of the formation. So this is good. Okay, this is good. Now, the next thing we want to observe is that we closed above the weekly time frame SMA 200. Very, very important. Okay, I can't stress how important that is. It doesn't mean that we can't face a downside. It just means that that there are more signals that are favoring a potential upside than not. Okay, sorry, I think I was gonna, let's see if I have a few things to kind of go over here. Right, team. You know what? This actually reminded me. Please go ahead and remember that I still have open seats available for the ARC Masters course. It's a 16-week mentorship with me, right? And it would be held over the weekends, 1 day a week, and it's live, right? So you would have access directly to me, and you can speak directly to me. And this is an entire course on my system, right? So I will display to you and also release to you my algorithms and yeah, so just go ahead and get in touch with me here. I'll pass over the syllabus and the disclaimer, everything pertinent to the course, right? Track 3 students just started on last Saturday. They just got their week number 2 done today, and we shall see when track 4 students can start, right? So yeah, just go ahead and get in touch with me there, and we'll get you situated and enrolled. Okay, so now I want to observe here the hourly time frame LRC. This is the linear regression channel, and the linear regression channel appears to be approaching a very critical area of resistance, meaning that we closed beneath this resistance. There could be a downside again. And if we are to face a downside, then there is a high probability here that it could be located right there at 450. Although we do have a 446 bottom side, it's just critically important for us to observe that this gap may never get filled again. It might. Sure, it could happen, whatever. But the point here is that we definitely have a gap here, and it can serve as a potential support before we continue to the upside, right? So let me go ahead and mark off that target there, because that's $4.50, and the bottom side here would be $4.46. You definitely already know about the 443, and if we were to face a continuation to the downside, then there could be a probability of facing the 439 area based on the bottom side of the linear regression channel. Okay, and it just so happens that this candle here has an opening of the closing of 439. Yeah, so closing right down here at 439. That has, it's rhyming very nicely with a potential down here of 439. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that line there just in case we end up coming back down, and that would be a zone for us to observe as a potential support. Okay, now moving on to the last part of the analysis here, I think it's important for us to observe the RSI, right? So there's going to be momentum over several time frames. So if we can go ahead and feast our eyes here with the 30-minute time frame, I'm going to go ahead and just extend these out just like this. I do it every time so that you can see what the gravitational pivots are. Right, so every single zone in the RSI, every junction here, even the top one, has a gravitational zone for us to observe. This is the 30-minute RSI, and you can see here that the RSI signal is already facing a potential upside here. It's going to get into that gravitational zone, but remember that we still have the opposing side's gravitational zone to combat, so it may actually pull back. What I can see here is that, yes, this can push to the upside, but I can see a resistance already coming up in here because of the bi-hourly time frame showing that resistance right up here. So we can face a resistance and then continue to the downside and then correct at a certain point of which we can determine where that could be a little bit later. And it looks like it's right here on the 12-hour time frame. We're already getting a bounce from the bottom side here. We face that bounce. We're actually moving upside. We created a bullish crossover upside of the SMA 14, and now we're sitting in the gravitational zone of the bull strength percentile. Otherwise, right in here is where we're sitting here on the daily time frame, on the 12-hour time frame, right? So that is telling me that we can move slightly to the upside, face the resistance here, right? Face the resistance at the SMA 14, and then come right back down, right, and support somewhere, and then move on up. What does that mean, right? So it's literally what we just talked about on the linear regression channel. Check this out. Slight upside to resist at this point here, which could be at 459, right? And then we could actually get a pullback to then get a support either from 450 or 446 before a continuation to the upside seen on the 12-hour time frame. Okay, now that's curious to me, that 459 target. Did we talk about 459 at all? 459? Oh, we spoke about 449. Let me just make sure that I did say 459. Yeah, 459 resistance, but yeah, this is entirely different here. It's a 549. So, yeah. So I think that's those are the probabilities here, and it's just part of the breakout of this formation, right? So upon that breakout, we could then observe the potentials for an upside continuation. But please notice here that the not 236 Fibonacci ratio is located at 461. So now we have the resistance range for the immediate short term before a slight pullback, 459 to 461, right, as an area for a potential pullback. And then this thing would actually come back down to the area of about 450. Sorry about that, team. Just this guy going a little bit crazy over there. So in that would actually make a lot of sense because it appears as though we are trading with other traders that are trading the other triangle, right? I know it's a huge long movie, but yeah, that support bottom that we just spoke of does have, it is falling in line with this triangle here, right there, 451. So if there are other traders that are trading the other triangle, that's probably why, because we broke inside, we're coming back down to test the support and then continuing onwards and upwards, right? So yeah, it's looking pretty good, you guys. Please remember to reach out to me in case of any questions. All right. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell on Monday. Adios, team.